Today I want to show you the basics of the Unreal Engine 4 foliage tool. So first of all you have to click onto this little icon up here, and then you have to drag and drop your static mesh into this window. Now some properties should appear, for example a height detail, then everything gets hidden, then of course the show painting settings, the show instance settings, and here you can change the mesh, and of course here you can delete it from the list, for example like that. Then down here you can set the density. So for example, this here is a density of 100, and this here of 1000. Then down here, you can disable or enable the align to normal. When we disable it, all static meshes are pointing up, so into the sky. And when we enable it, so that you can see the difference, they also point to the right or the left side, as you can see here. Then down here, of course you can choose an angle, so how much they can rotate in one side. Of course just when you have enabled the align to normal, otherwise the option disappears. Then here you can choose a random yaw, a uniform scale. Down here you can choose a min scale and a max scale. For example, when we type in 0.1 to 1, then it looks like that. So then we have pretty small ones and pretty big ones. Then here you can choose the C offset. So if they should float in the air, or if they stick into the ground. For example, when you type in, say 5 to 5, then they should float in the air. Then down here you can choose the random pitch, the ground float, the height, and of course a landscape layer. I think here you can add a landscape layer, and onto that layer the static meshes get placed. Okay, now let's go to the show instance settings. In here you can choose the culling, so that the meshes disappear when you get into a certain distance. So up here at the max instance per cluster, you can choose how many meshes should be in one cluster. Because the foliage tool renders everything in clusters, so so many meshes are just one big thing. Then down here at max cluster radius you can choose the radius of the cluster, and at the start cull distance you can choose in which distance it should start culling it, and where it should end the culling. So for example, when typing 1 and 5, we will try it out now, right from here, then they disappear, and when we get near, they should appear, as you can see here. And here you can just play around with these settings. And here you can also see the clustering. On the left side they already disappear, and on the right side they are still here. For example, so that are clusters, groups of meshes. Then down here you can of course disable the shadows, affect dynamic lighting, and some other properties that affects the lighting. Okay, now let's go up to the tools, the reapply tool. Here you can reapply settings. For example, down here, the scale, when we type in 10 to 10, and then of course you have to enable it, this little button here, they paint over it, and as you can see here, they get bigger. So here you can reapply the settings. Then of course select, with that you can select the meshes here, and you can also move it around, like this here. Then also lasso tool, there you can select more of them, and delete them or add them. And the fill tool is here to fill into a certain volume. So there you have to place a volume, and then you have to click on to fill, and in that volume all meshes appear. Then down here you can see landscape static mesh or BSP. That says to the tool where it should be able to paint the meshes on. For example, when we disable the landscape, then we can't paint onto the landscape. When we disable the static meshes, we can't paint on the meshes. And the same with the BSP. Because with the foliage tool, you can also paint on meshes and on BSP brushes. So you can nearly paint on everything. Yeah, so that are the basics of the Unreal Engine foliage tool. I hope you guys liked it, and until next time.